Here's a question.
Steve Furdy from Denton. So, is there a safe way to do this at all? Is there a way you can frack without these consequences? Is there any way that the emissions can be controlled and all these things?
Those are two different questions.
Yeah.
First of all, about the safe way to do fracking. The only honest answer that I can give you is nobody knows. Nobody knows because nobody's ever been asked to know. There was never a trial period for doing this where there was any extensive testing. Every investigation into hydraulic fracturing was shut down by the federal government. And EPA tried to investigate it several times during the Bush administration under their imminent and substantial endangerment authority, which means that there is an imminent and substantial danger to people living nearby, so they can come in, and the Bush administration shut those investigations down. There is one going on right now in Region 8, EPA, with the guys in Pavilion, the Cowboys. For Pavilion kicked and screamed, and they got Region 8 EPA to come out. They're in the second year of a 2-year study, and they found contamination in 11 of 44 water wells with fluids associated with fracking in that area, and in the second year they found it in 20 out of 44 water wells. Now this is a situation they've had to invent the tests because they don't know what the chemicals are, so they had to invent tests to find these things. They have not yet completed all their study. So, from my experience, and this is, of course, my survey in however many states it was, I lost count after a while. I didn't visit a place where they were doing hydraulic fracturing where they didn't have water contamination, where they didn't have air problems. The air problems are obvious. I mean, there's no safeguards at all. They're above ground. You can see what's going on. Can you create a closed-loop system? Can you create a system where all those emissions are gone? Yeah, you can. It costs more. It costs to protect your health. And this, in the end, is actually what this is all about. The exemption to the Safe Drinking Water Act, the exemption to the Clean Air Act, the exemption to the Clean Water Act, and to the Superfund law allows this process to occur. Because without those, with a level playing field, renewable energy is competitive, and it makes more sense to develop. Because you have to make a certain amount of money to do this for the companies to want to do it. The only way they're able to do it is because they have those exemptions. Which means that the cost of natural gas is the same. It just depends on who's paying it, right? So if the natural gas is valued at this much, and then you have to pay the cost of the health bills, you have to pay the cost of real estate going down. You have to pay the cost of cleanup of toxic sites. Citizens have to pay that. It's not included in the price of the gas, which is, Al Appleton likes to say, that's the old accounting. The old accounting is we should do everything with the cheapest price. But there's a new accounting which has to become the standard, which is the sustainable price. And what it means is those are the costs. These are the costs that we have to pay. When we lose our water, we have to pay to replace it. When we lose our air, we have to pay to deal with it and deal with the medical bills. So all those things, so they've never been forced, the industry has never been forced to figure out if it could be done safely. Until that time, I have to say nobody knows. So in terms of this new EPA study that they're doing and all the different studies of hydraulic fracturing, the answer is nobody knows. But certainly not unless they're forced to do it. Unless there are laws that would say, okay, to control emissions, you have to put these things in place. And I think that would be the first thing to deal with in this area, because you have so many wells in so many places and so many cases of people being poisoned by the air. And you saw the air test from Dish in the film, where I read the list of all the ethyl benzenes. Well, I saw an air test today that was mind-blowing from the couple that we interviewed this afternoon. And she had those chemicals in her lungs. And when you have a situation like that, and you have all these wells all over, there has to be a solution to stopping those emissions, and it has to happen as soon as possible. So, as far as making the wells that are in place safe, from the water contamination point of view, basically, when you contaminated the aquifer, you can't fix it. It's almost impossible to fix it. You have to treat the water at the surface, which gets very, very expensive. Or you have to pipe in water from somewhere else. To make this area, obviously, you can't accept that areas where they're gas drilling will become uninhabitable. But basically, what you're in a situation is We have to get these air things fixed, and that's the first thing, you know. And then the water situation, a lot of people in this area don't drink their water, or they have another source of water, and that's probably going to continue. It's the same situation, though, in New York City. I mean, nobody in New York City drinks the water that's underneath them, because that's been contaminated from a long time ago. The water has to come from far, far away. So these things are the kinds of things that have to be taken care of. And I don't know what's in the state of Texas's constitution. In Pennsylvania, there's Article 1, Section 27, which states that we have a right to clean air and clean water. And I'd like to find out if that's something that's in the Texas Constitution or not. I mean, it's not a joke, because, you know,